started, that was why I felt like I was having no success, because I was contacting everybody. Because they tell you, go into your address book and call everybody in your contacts. I had over 1,000 contacts because I did lashes. So I was like, okay, I'm going to call all my lash clients and see. And everybody was annoyed because I had their information because they came to me for a service. And now they felt like, why are you calling me? I'm like 18 and I'm in university. I'm like, well, did you know anyone that's going to sell? Like, this is, in my head, I'm like, this is what they told me to do. So I'm just trying to follow instructions. But yeah, no, it didn't work. It didn't work out for me. And, unfortunately for me, there was no family support either. So I did everything on my own. Like, I've had family members, like, just be really cutthroat with me. And so everything that I've ever built was on my own, through no referrals of family, or like, now there's referrals, and I have my aunt who's like, I call her my soldier. She'll like, cuss you out if you don't use me. So I love her to death. But no, yeah, I built it on my own.
Yeah, so you don't have any support from family? No support.
Later on in life, I can't say that. That's a lie. I do, like, my family members that are close to me will always refer me. And I do have, like, I want to say, like, a cousin that, has supported me. But, when it comes to your family, they feel like, just give me a deal. And, sometimes it's okay. But I'm not a discount agent, right? And I don't ever want to set the tone for myself that I'm a discount agent, because when you hire me, I am taking on all of your problems. And I am the type of person that I'm an empath. So your problems are my problems. And every time I see that there is an issue, I'm going to try to find an answer, because it's just in my nature to be that way. So if I'm going to put myself through all of that, I'm not a discount agent. Yeah. So, yeah, it's difficult with family.
So out of all these conditions, like no support from family initially, and then starting out initially, and then you don't have contacts, trying everything, how did you beat the market?
Through my Kijiji ads. It was Kijiji.
Just Kijiji?
Kijiji is what did it. I would post on Kijiji every single day, 10 posts a day, and then I'd call those leads. You have to call them immediately, and you're then providing value, right? So they're calling to inquire about something that I've posted. They want to know information. I'm providing it right away. I'm trying to connect with them on the phone. Once I'm on the phone with them, I'm building rapport. Once they, feel like they like, know, and trust me, then we're kind of moving forward. That's actually, I think I had met your wife through a Google pay-per-click.
That's a big story, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me tell my story, right? Our story, actually. So initially, in 2021, we thought, my wife is like, you know what? We have to buy the house. I was like, yeah, okay. Because we made certain money, right? We were doing trading or investment and whatever. Because of that market, like in 2020, before COVID, right? No, during COVID period, right? So we invested in certain stocks and whatever, and then the stock value, we bought those stocks for what, like 50 cents or something, and it went up to $64 something.
Wow.
Right? Wow. And then we made like a lot of money, like more than $500,000. Not a lot compared to you, by the way. But yeah, $500,000 or something, right? 600,000 something USD. And then I became greedy. I was like, you know what? Anyways, we are buying the house. Let's go buy the house on cash. Right? And I was sitting on it, and then US elections came. Somebody won, somebody lost, right? And the market started tanking, and we lost 300,000 something. Oh. Right? It's done. It's just because I'm greedy. And then my wife is like, you know what? You will waste money. Let's go buy the house. And then we went with multiple agents. Like I cannot even count, right? But every time we go there, we go see a house. Actually, I start my work day 3:30 in the morning. I wake up, I go to office, come back, and then I go again for a open house visiting, right? Every day we went all the way from Oshawa, Ajax, Brampton, Mississauga, Niagara, even up to Niagara, right? Every time we go there, we see the house, we put a bid or go for a bid, and then we come back. Sometimes even before coming, they'll say, hey, you know what? We lost the house, that's 1.1 million. If you can go for more, 1.2 something, yeah, we can secure the house. I was like, no, right? And then we got like frustrated. We said, no, we are not buying it. Let's wait for the market to come down. But my wife, she's like, you know what? Let me go through the net. And then she searched for a whole day. And next day she found Sindee. You know what? I'll call Sindee tomorrow. And then she called Sindee. Sindee came, how many? 3, 4 houses? 4 houses. No, 6 houses, I think.
Yeah, it was a good couple.
Yeah. In one day we went for 6 houses. And then 3 houses in Woodstock. And then on the day we went for the house. I don't know if the only thing that we saw different from other Sindee to other agencies. We placed bid for a couple of houses. Something happened with the first house, second house. No, first house we said no. Second house we placed the bid. Something happened. Somebody asked us to cut a deal with them directly or whatever. We are like, you know what? No, Sindee, she's with us for 2 or 3 months. So we don't want to cut them. And then we went for the same house. And then that's the market peak time, I think, right? It's the peak time. COVID, yeah. So the house was sold for certain value. And the house that I bought, I think the owner increased the price to a certain level. We said, okay, that's fine. And then they started going up.
Wow. So someone is greedy.
We saw the house and we are almost confident that, you know what, this will be our house, right? And then we are roaming in Mississauga. No, we are just going in the car, right? Just doing trips. And then Sindee called us, you know what, they're saying this. And my wife is like, no, Sindee, we cannot. That's a big value. That's a big jump, right? And then if there is, it is any other realtor or a real estate agent, right? They would say, you know what, we cannot do that. But Sindee got that house for us for what, 60,000 less than the value that they asked, right? And finally, the value that we got is almost, it's a very low price. That's the first time I was like, you know what, we got this house for 70,000. Whatever value, right? Lower than what they are asking.
The market price is. That's very nice.
And then from that time, you are like, you know what, anytime somebody asks me, hey, you know what, who is your realtor? I would say, I'll call Sindee directly or I'll send a message. I can say it because she's the one who got us the house, right? So that is our story.
Right? You know what's interesting is that I get a lot of clients that are very similar because I remember your wife was very adamant. She's like, nope, I'm not paying $1 more.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think the thing that a lot of realtors do will be, not a lot, but some will be like, okay, look, they'll present the offer to the other realtor and be like, look, I'm sorry, my clients are being unreasonable, or you know what I mean? Or just be like, look, I'm just trying my luck. But for me, even though you're giving me a number that I feel may not work, when I'm going to the agent, I'm saying to them, this is why you have to take this offer. Like, I'm spinning a story that says, this number is the number that you need to take. It's the number that makes sense. I had a client actually just the other day. The house was listed at 1.5, I think it was 1.560. She said, Sindee, I want to put an offer for 1.380.
Wow. Okay.
I was like, okay. And so I was like, you sure you don't want to even try like 1.420, like, maybe just 100,000 off. And she was like, no, I'm not paying more than 1.380. And that's my final number. I was like, okay. So I went and this is how I do this. Like, this is how I get people these prices. I don't know if I should say this, but she told me what she wanted. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to look and scour every single house that has sold and see how I can make this number make sense. And I did. And it's I feel like it's my background of loving the law, because in the law, it's a lot of BS. You got to know how to spin things. You know what I mean? And so I really just looked at the comparables and said, this is why you have to take this number. This is why this number makes sense. You're not going to get higher than this number. And it's me putting my case forward to make them believe me that they're not going to get more than 1.38. And you know what? She took 1.38. And I was able to save that lady all that money. And that's what I did for you too. And that's what I do for everybody with all their stupid offers. Not to say that your offer was stupid, but any number that they're giving me, I'm just not the type of person to throw my clients under the bus. You know what I mean? We are a united front. So if you're going to tell me this is what it is and there's no sway, okay, let me see how I can make this work, because I don't want to look like an idiot. Is really what it all kind of comes down to, if I'm honest. I don't want to look like I'm giving you an offer that makes absolutely no sense, and now I lose respect among my colleagues. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, to be honest, we were this close in saying, you know what, let's stop this one, right? And then maybe at 6:30 you said, you know what, they agreed for whatever the price they said, and we're like, wow, that's a good. But I still have a doubt. I never asked you this question before. On that day in the evening, my wife called you and said, you know what, the previous house that we saw, who are the owner, they are asking us to come directly with them or whatever,
right?
And ask you to stay away from the deal or keep you away from the deal. And you said, oh, you know what, okay, Annie, if you want, yeah, you can go.
Right.
Actually, how did you feel at the time when my wife told you? Like, you were there you came with us like for house showings, right?
Right.
Like 3 months or
right.
Many houses, many locations.
Yeah.
Right? And we called you all the way up to Woodstock.
How
did you feel?
You know what? The truth is that isn't, unfortunately, the first time that something like that has happened, right? And because I'm such an empath, I'm always putting myself in the situation of, like, in the shoes of the client, right? Like if somebody was coming to me, if I was in your wife's situation and I knew that I was going to be able to save a lot of money, what was I going to, like, as much as I want to believe that I'm a very, honorable person and would maybe stay with my agent, the truth is that money is money, and at the end of the day, you've got to do what's best for your family. And so I'm sure that I was hurt and probably felt, oh gosh.
Just that, no swearing, nothing.
Okay. But it would have more so been, you know what, you've got to do what's best for your family at the end of the day. Because I'm not an unreasonable person. I know. I understand. You know what I mean? I would have probably done the same thing. So how can I try to point fingers and be like, but truth is that if I'm going to save money, that means more money for my kids, more money for groceries. Like, it makes a difference.
Yeah, anyways, my wife called the other house owner, and she told them that, you know what, Sindee said, okay, we can go directly, but you know what, we are not interested. That's a kind of cheating and whatnot. Let's be honest, right? And then my wife said, we cut the deal. We did not even stop. We stopped talking to them, right?
I appreciate that.
Anyways.
Yeah. So when you started, you said you kind of used Kijiji, right? For letting people that you are into, you're a real estate agent, and you started listing many in Kijiji. Probably a decade ago. I'll put 10 years ago or maybe 15 years ago. That's how it. Yeah. When you started, right?
When I started.
Mm-hmm. And now the technology has improved a lot.
Yeah.
How are you evolving yourself along with the technology in terms of marketing?
So I've upgraded to Google pay-per-clicks, and that was a lot of what I was doing. I wasn't really doing Kijiji any longer because it was very time consuming. But with Kijiji, what I was doing was posting homes for sale. And so those are free on Kijiji. So so I do a lot of that. But now I really just do Google pay-per-click, and majority of my work now is referral based.
Okay. And is there any specific trend in the market keeping you excited about?
The interest rates are going down, which is very comforting because, everybody's scared to get in because they feel like if the interest rates go down even further, I could save more money, and you know what I mean? But as the interest rates slowly come down, you can see that I mean, the first thing that I noticed was that more people were comfortable putting their listings up, right? Because for a long time we were struggling with no inventory. But now there's lots of inventory, but not enough buyers. But I feel like it's because people are waiting, right, to see where the bottom of the drop will be. And with, I think the next interest rate drop, they're saying it might be about 50 points, which will be significant, which I'm hoping will kind of invigorate the market a little bit. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. And there's also like little things. I mean, I don't know that, there's, the government now is going to, what was it, 5% if you uninsured? I can't remember now, but there was another one that I was like, oh, you know what? I think that might actually be really great. Yeah, there's a good amount of things that the government's trying to do to try to help the real estate market. None of which seem all that great, but interest rates coming down seem great. So.
Which is really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what mindset shift or habit do you credit for your success in real estate?
It would be my coach. His name was Rob Vivian. He was one of the first coaches that I ever worked with. And he was the one that I had mentioned that had told me I need to start counting the no's and kind of flip it to a positive. And so he was the one that really started to shift my mindset in the sense that, you know, you need to start looking at things like you're an employee. This is a job. You have to be putting in at least, you know, a certain amount of hours every single day. So that way you can expect results. And so he helped me create kind of like a plan of, okay, I have these 3 funnels, he called it, that you're going to work at every single day. You're going to put together a schedule. You're going to time block each activity. And so I started off with door knocking, calling, cold calling, just solds. Like, so when a house just sells, within the first 3 days, it's said that the neighbors are now thinking about, I wonder if I sold my house, how much I would get. Mm-hmm. And so you're trying to find the people that would actually take action. And so I just called people on the street. So he put together basically a schedule for me, and I just started doing it.
That's really nice. And how important is personal development in your journey?
Very, very important. I feel like development is something that I integrate into my everyday. So whether it's, you know, a mastermind with colleagues, or I have an entrepreneur group that I started with my church, or reading, I always read a book every single morning that has to do with something about improving myself.
That's nice.
You started an entrepreneur group. What is that like?
So that's actually very new, but I mean, I don't know. I just said it, but it's something that basically is a group of entrepreneurs that will come together and showcase their business. So each session, one entrepreneur will showcase their business and talk about what's really working for them and the struggles in their business. And then as a group of business owners, we kind of mastermind about how they can overcome those hurdles, and then pray for, you know, that person and their struggle. And then it'll also be informative. So we'll get speakers in to come and speak about, you know, marketing or social media or different aspects of being a business owner. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm one of the leaders, one of the 3 leaders that will be leading that group.
Who got the idea first? Like, to organize that in a church, right?
You know what? So I like to think that it was me, but Nicole, who was also one of the leaders in the group, had a similar idea. And so the pastor decided to group us together. But I'm not sure who had the actual idea first, but I'd like to think it was me.
Where did this pastor came from? Like, pastors, how did he Why
So
is the pastoring
so
interested in?
the group? No. So what it was is that in the church, they had asked people if they were interested in being a small group leader. And I had been taking, I was a part of a small group that was being led by the main pastor. And that group is a leadership group. And it teaches you, how to be a leader. And the pastor was very involved in it. And I love my pastor. And so I really wanted to learn from him. And so through that group, and really, I was actually a part of a network called the Entrepreneur Nation. And that was essentially where entrepreneurs would gather every single month and do exactly that, showcase their business. You had 2 minutes to give your elevator pitch about what your business is. They'd pick one person to showcase their business. And it was all about networking. And everybody, the point of that group was that you are now a part of that network. And anybody who's a part of that network, if they need to refer, let's say, a real estate agent, they're referring me because I'm the real estate agent in that group.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping to integrate something similar like that into the church, because I was like, I felt like I'd be able to find more like-minded people that had the type of integrity that I was looking for in other business owners. So, because, integrity is very hard to find, and integrity is like the base of my business. Like I'm a very straightforward person, very honest, and I want to find, if I'm going to refer someone, I want to know that they're like-minded and they're trustworthy and they have integrity as well. So I was like, maybe we can do this in the church. Maybe we can, find like-minded. Not to say that, Christians are perfect because people are people, but that was the hope.
Nice. And then in your opinion, how do you describe the current housing market condition in Canada?
That is a very, very loaded question. It depends on the market. It depends on the buyer. If you're asking me about the condo market, very saturated, very, the builders of our, that have been building have overly saturated the condo market. And so the condo market is in somewhat of a decline. And so it's just people with there's just so much inventory that it's sitting there. Housing market that is below 600, however, not that bad, depending on where you are, right? But even in places like Brantford, you're still seeing multiple offers when it comes to certain price ranges, because the most affordable price ranges right now would be, under 600. And I specialize in first-time home buyers, and so that's a lot of my market. And so it's still relatively competitive. But I, through referrals, am also doing a lot of multi-million-dollar listings, which is a completely different market and takes a lot of different types of marketing. But those homes are just sitting there. A lot of homes, unfortunately, over the 1 point something mark. It's not moving as quickly. But again, it depends on the city, right? So places like Toronto, Mississauga, some parts of Oshawa, Brampton, you're still seeing good movement, but it's a difficult market depending where you are and who you are.
Mm-hmm. So in comparison to the last year, is this currently a buyer's market or a seller's market?
We're definitely in a buyer's market. Even though depending on the price range and depending on the type of home that you're looking for, we are still in a buyer's market. We're not in a decline, thank goodness, because last year we were in a declining market, which meant that, whatever price was listed, more than likely you're getting under list.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're kind of stabilizing. So you can expect to pay market value for your home.
Okay. Is there any specific region in Ontario which is having a good increase in the housing price?
Well, I think that it's homes more so in like the GTA, right? So Mississauga, Toronto, some parts of Brampton, I would say, are still seeing a pretty good, and it depends on the state of your home, right? Because it's a buyer's market, if it's move-in ready, it's more than likely going to move relatively quickly. And if it's renovated but not too renovated, that's causing the price to go a little bit higher, then it's selling really quickly. I remember we went to go see one home, and it wasn't renovated per se, but it was very clean. It looked good, and things were, when you walked in there, made sense. And I guess because of that, it went into it got 7 offers. But yeah, it just depends on how the house is set.
And in any specific reason, do you think why GTA, Brampton, or Toronto is kind of getting a good number of houses listing at current market condition?
I think a lot of people want to stay in the GTA. They don't want to
drive a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
But as a first-time home buyer, I say to people all the time, it's either you invest the money or you invest the time, right? Both are investments. So, yeah, it's just, I think, a matter of comfort.
What do you think the economic conditions that are impacting the real estate market now in terms of consumers?
I mean, the interest rates, of course. Interest rates are definitely affecting the market. The fact that it had dropped and then spiked is, really affecting the market. There's lots of things that are really affecting the market. I'm not sure that it's really economical, but the influx of immigrants coming into the country, and I think there's a lot of things that are, we'd have to be more specific as to exactly what's affecting. I think right now, the thing that's having the market move is just that, the government has put the ban on the buyers. What's the word I'm looking for? Foreign.
Mm-hmm. Foreign investment, yeah.
Yeah, foreign buyers. There's a 2-year ban, and I think until 2025, which is great. I think that really had a lot to do with why the prices spiked. There were so many foreign buyers during COVID. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, other than interest rate, you said immigration, right? What changes did you notice with the immigration? I do know that immigration increased, number of people that came inside. Mm-hmm. That's a lot now.
Right.
And most of them are temporary workers, by the way, right? Most of them are students.
Right.
Some people are, say, refugees in a different way. They just came here on visiting visa and whatever. They were granted this refugee status or temporary work permit status, right? How do they impact the housing in terms of buying the house? If it is rental properties, I'd say your prices may go up. But how come how is that impacting the?
I think a lot of the immigrants that are coming in are working towards, because as long as you're working towards your PR, you technically can buy a house, right? So, if people are coming in and they are hoping, because I feel like when most immigrants, their goal is to buy a home, right? You're not really just coming here to work and rent. You're coming here to plant roots. And so there's a lot of people coming in trying to purchase homes. And so if you're letting in 500,000 immigrants a year,
right? Yeah.
A good amount of them are going to be trying to buy a home, right? So, yeah, it's definitely had an impact.
Yeah, and there is an increase in inflation as well as a high living cost.
Right.
At present. How does it really impact the first-time home buyers?
Well, affordability, right? And you add the stress test on there, and it's hard because you're qualifying for, instead of qualifying for the actual rate, it's plus 2%. So that combined with the expense of living, people are forced, I feel, depending on what you want. I feel most people that have an immigrant background don't want to go into a condo because there's like a stigma for whatever reason that is attached to living in a condo. So when you're dealing with people who have an immigrant background, they are the ones that are just going further out. Like if I'm going to buy a home, I want to buy a home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to travel, an hour and a half to get to work. And that's okay because I just want, that comfortability of knowing that where I'm investing my money, I don't have to waste it on condo fees and whatnot. So majority of the buyers that I work with that are first-time home buyers, they're okay to go an hour, even an hour and a half outside of the city.
What actually changed, right? What changed actually, other than, okay, inflation went up because of our government printing money or whatever during COVID. They gave money in excess to people, and then inflation went up, interest rates went up. Jobs went down too. Jobs went down, but still the supply is, you're saying it's a buyer market or something just now?
Right now it's a buyer's market, yeah.
So many people are losing jobs, right? Like, what's that? Air Transat, they are laying off 85% people. Apple laid off like 60% people, right? And then most of the jobs in the industrial sector, like whatever, right? Power or automotive or even civil side, construction stopped. There's no construction happening.
Right.
Then how is this a buying market? Who is buying that?
Who's buying? People.
Yeah, but where is that investments coming in, right? Like that's.
You know what? That's a very difficult question to answer. But I know that a lot of the people that I'm working with are people that have just simply been saving for a really long time and trying to take advantage of all of the government incentives that they have for first-time home buyers, like, putting your money into RSPs or first-time home buyer saving, whatever it is. And they're just trying, right? And that's why they decide to just go outside the city. And, whatever it is that they can afford, they'll just do what they can afford, because what else are you going to do? Rent? Because I think that a lot of the buyers that I work with, they're frustrated with landlords because it's, rents are so crazy and you're paying all these astronomical amounts. And if you're living in something that's built after 2018, there's no rent control. So it's hard as a tenant. And if your landlord decides that they want to sell and you're the type of person not to fight, then you're just like, okay, I'm going to leave. And you're leaving and you're packing and you have kids and it's a lot. And people are just frustrated. They just don't want to deal with that anymore. So forget it. I'll just drive an hour and a half. If that's what it is, that's what it is. I don't want to move all the time. I don't want to have to deal with, the leaky fridge that my landlord won't come and fix. And it's all just too much of a headache. And so they just want to go. Like that, truthfully, is a lot of the buyers that I'm working with right now. They're just tired of renting. They just don't want to deal with landlords and the rent is too high. So they're just like, screw it. I'm just going to try as hard as I can to get something of my own, whatever it is, wherever it is, so I don't have to deal with this.
So now are the prices stabilizing or kind of increasing, decreasing? Where do you look?
Unfortunately, for any seller that I come in contact with,
Mm-hmm.
they're losing.
Yeah, I just want to say that.
Yeah. But we're in a relatively stable market right now. And so majority of sales are being sold at what's, pretty fair market value. So if you see that a house is sold for, $1 million, you can expect $1 million. And sellers, and that's, I think, a lot of the reason why we've had inventory sit for as long as it is, because sellers are waiting for their number. They're just like, if I'm not going to get my number, then I'm just going to wait. And that's the way markets have been historically, right? Historically, houses don't sell in a week. They take a couple of months. And so it's just coming back to that mindset to say, I don't need to worry if my house doesn't sell within a month. It's normal to see, a house sit on the market for, between 30 to 60 days. But with me, it gets sold faster. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying I'm looking at the charts from WOVA reports.
Okay.
So they're saying monthly transactions increased, but the average sold price is going down by 2.7%. and MLS benchmark price. So that's the listing price, right? Listing sale price. So that's also down by 1% last month and 4% I'd say in 4 months, 3.9% in 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And most of it is in Ontario and Vancouver, right? Or do you think you have any clients from outside or just locally, like Ontario?
No, I do have potentially a buyer that I will be working with relatively soon that's coming from Trinidad. But other than that, majority of my buyers are within Canada. Yeah.
And yeah, it's showing that it's kind of stable in Ontario.
It's relatively.
It's kind of stable here. Market trends like its average price is 700,000 something. Canada seller buyer market. Okay, so here they are saying Alberta is the seller market. Saskatchewan, Quebec. Okay, so except Manitoba, I don't know why they're saying not showing. They're saying not applicable. I think. And then in Ontario, it's a balanced market. Rest everything is why? Why is Ontario
Balanced?
and rest everything is seller market? What's difference between all the other provinces and Ontario?
The prices are so astronomical here, and so it's so much higher.
Including BC, right? BC is also seller market.
I think with the prices going up as high as they did, and jobs not really following it, what can you do, right? It spiked so quickly that I don't know. That's a very I think multi-level sort of question answer, but it's I think Toronto or the Ontario and Vancouver market are the ones that are the most volatile compared to others. I know I have a colleague actually that's out in Calgary that is, they're saying that their market is still relatively good and, things are selling. But I think it's also because the price points are so low, right? Homes in those areas are not anywhere in comparison to Ontario. Well, let's say GTA.
Yeah, so Ontarians mostly GTA. Is that how you look?
Well, when I look at, because there are some parts of Ontario that are very affordable, right? I mean, not very affordable, more so affordable, right? Like you go to, let's say, Niagara region, you're finding prices that are pretty good. Like, I mean, for a first-time home buyer, if you're looking for a full detached home, so much more affordable in Niagara. Even parts of Brantford, Hamilton, I don't know. Hamilton is difficult because there are parts of Hamilton that are affordable, but it's not desired if you have children, right? So, and I guess it depends on what you feel affordable is. I'm thinking affordable under 600,000 for like an average person, right? And even an average person with an average job, like what's the average person make? Like 50 to 60,000. So that's only really getting you a mortgage of what, almost closer to
300,000 kind of.
Well, no, if you make...
With the current interest rate, maybe it will be little lesser than that.
So if there's a household income of, I'm going to do right now, let's say 100,000, then that's giving you the average mortgage of 450, right? So if you're working with 450 to 500, that price range is taking you very far away. And you can still get a home in those price ranges. It's just, realizing that your investment is the time, as well as fix it up a little bit. You're going to have to do some work, put some sweat equity in there. So, but yeah, it's, you can still get a home with an average household income of 100,000 balanced.
Okay, so they're saying Ontario house market declined in August 2024 with an average home price of 870,000 is still it's a big money by the way. Yes.
Right, yeah.
And then 2.4 decrease. How many people can afford 814 now? Every time how many people do you think? I cannot.
No. I mean, it's not
I
an
can, but
average.
I don't want to.
Right? That's exactly
I don't know how many
it.
people want to buy for 800. Anyways, yeah. So the average home sold in GST is 1.7 million. Wow. I was looking at Twitter, there's some stats from CREA, is that? Like,
Korea, yeah.
Korea, yeah. And it seems like house price, certain houses fell from 1.5. No, I heard one house which was listed for 2 million something, sold for 1.2, 1.3 million, right?
Right.
Is that in, it's in Toronto, I think. That's a big drop. And
Right.
here they are saying it's only 2%. Anyways. So GTA house will go up to the top, right?
There was a house that was listed that one of my clients was watching, and it was listed for 2.3 million, and it ended up selling for 1.8.
Wow.
Yeah, that was just a couple weeks ago too.
So is this Toronto? It's a Hamilton. You deal in Hamilton too, or?
Yeah, so I'm I'm a part of the Hamilton board because I do a lot of business like in the West End because of first-time home buyers. But I also maintain my membership with TREB, and so I feel like I'm like doing a transition. Like I started off really with first-time home buyers. That's where my heart is. But now I'm like kind of segueing into more listings and just a different sort of demographic, let's say.
Yeah, so transactions overall in Hamilton is 424 transactions. Out of the 204 is what? 284 is detached homes. So condos are done. I think anybody who bought, I think my friend is condo too, the guy he pulled off his ad listing from market, I think.
Did he?
I think so. He said he's not getting anything out of that, and I think he's also losing money maybe.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. You must know.
You know what? I was actually thinking about him the other day because I was talking to my client about picking up my staging, and he came into my mind. But yeah, I mean, it is tough. It is a tough market, and you know, if you're not experienced, if you're not an experienced agent, it can be very difficult because you just don't know what to do, especially when you're in like an oversaturated market and you are having no buyers. Like you just feel like, well, what do I do? How do I do this?
Huh?
But you just, yeah, it's that's unfortunate for him. I should tell him that I got my client's condo sold within a couple of days.
He called me. But I think he will contact you. I was in touch with him, by the way. Anyways. Mm-hmm. So you're on full-time job growth. Financial sector is number 2. Transportation, warehouse. So where is real estate here?
Nowhere.
So which one do you fall into now? Construction, no. You're not in. No. And by the way, why did construction went down? I did read the news about that. Do you have any idea on that? Yeah, insight on that, because you are into that sector, right?
Yeah. Construction. You mean like jobs?
Actual construction of houses, right? Yeah. Actual construction.
You know what? I don't know that I can give you a really great answer about that, but I remember actually speaking with my. Actually, you know what? I feel like the reason is because I was speaking to someone, and she had mentioned to me. So she is the project manager, or she was the manager of some sort for a builder, and she was like, you know, there's just no jobs right now. Unfortunately, people are calling me; they want jobs. There's no jobs, and I feel like for builders right now, the problem is that when they released their homes, maybe 2 years ago, those prices were so inflated that you're closing now and the builders are losing money. And so how do you offset the loss, right? You just have to figure out as a business owner what you're going to do to now offset these hundreds of thousands that you're losing because the market is dramatically changed. And so I feel like if you were to ask me, maybe that has something to do with it, right? Like, I think about it if it was me and I was a builder and I see that I'm losing between 100,000 to 200,000 each build. how am I offsetting that? I'm trying to eliminate things somewhere. I know that I've recently moved, and the builder that I bought from, we went into battle too because the prices and values changed. Thankfully enough, the builder that we bought from was generous enough to decrease the price, but it's not always the case.
So that equally have an impact with the pace of construction, which is currently happening. It's not the same as a couple of years ago. There are not lot of homes that are being newly constructed. I'm talking in terms of the percentage. There are still houses that are being constructed, but not in the same quantity how it was done before, probably pre-COVID or after that.
And I think that probably has a lot to do with it too, because during COVID, all these the price of material went up significantly. With interest rates being what it is, it's affecting everything, right? So if builders are not able to make the type of return that they need, I'd imagine that they're not pursuing it the way that they were before, right? So, I mean, I couldn't really tell you absolutely for sure, but you see all these little things and you kind of feel like, okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at, there are more people coming into the country, or there are students.
Right.
And the market condition, when it is said to be stabilizing, I'm imagining how the construction of, or the pace of construction going to accommodate more people to settle in a new home or in kind of any type of home. One way or other, again, in my perception, it may increase the rent because of the demand and supply, right? Or it may be a chance for people to buy a house, who are looking for the first-time buyers, first-time home buyers. They may need to wait a little longer to increase their affordable price, so that they can meet their need to buy a home. Right. Do you see that that construction pace or the inflow of people into the country or kind of contributor for that reality?
Well, I know that the pace of construction is lagging, right? If things were moving at a faster pace and demand could, because, I mean, in all fairness, the government is putting incentives in place for builders to build more rental units. And I know that the government also put out an initiative to build more affordable housing. And so the initiatives are there and they are starting, but it's not, I don't think that it's moving at the pace that it needs to be moving to actually deal with, because there's actually homelessness in Brampton. Like you see students living on the street, and like as someone who has, a Daisy husband, I know that this is not something that
I was about to ask this.
Yeah, like I know that that's not coming easy to these people. Like you see a lot of this sort of thing in India, right? And like it's normal. Like I remember when I went to India, you'd see like, a little, whatever it is, makeshift home right on the street corner. And then you're thinking that like it's going to be like dirty homeless people, but it's just normal people coming out to go to their studies. And that's what it was. Like it's normal. But I can't imagine that people are spending their hard-earned money to come into this country and now live on the street. And then I can't imagine the shame that they're feeling, that this is the situation. My parents have paid so much money, or I've worked so hard to get myself here, and now this is my reality. It's not an easy soul to swallow, especially if you're Punjabi. Like the pride is insane.
So where do you think? How do you think the future will be for the housing market, or in terms of consumers, right? Like for us,
right? I want to say that I'm hopeful because I'm just a hopeful person. But I feel like there needs to be a shift in mindset, right? Like people just need to understand that, you're coming into this market. It's okay to buy a condo. Like just get a condo. It's affordable. Maybe fees are going to be a little bit high, but it's not that bad. Like people hear horror stories and they're just like, forget it. I'll never live in a condo. But I feel like the shift has to be that you're a first-time home buyer, you're buying a condo. And even in these outer cities, like I have a client who is a builder and they're planning to put up I think 400 or some odd units in St. Catharines. And so I feel like those are affordable options. Like you cannot, buy a $500,000 home because, your household income is, let's say, 60 or 70,000. Well, you can buy a condo in St. Catharines and start your home ownership journey. There's nothing wrong. I feel like that's what the shift needs to be. And in the future, I feel like single detached homes is going to turn into like a luxury, right? Everybody will feel like having a condo is home, and that's the norm. Having a single detached will be a little bit more exclusive because it'll be so expensive and ridiculous.
So what's the advice that you give us in terms for buying or selling too? How can I sell my house for a higher price in this condition? Not for me, I'm not selling that house, right? But anybody who wants to sell the house,
yeah.
What do you think they should consider to, what kind of improvements do they need to do? Should they turn their house into green, whatever, eco
right,
homes or something?
Yeah.
So
I think that the things that most people are looking at are, is it move-in ready? Does everything, if you're going to sell your house for top dollar, then it needs to meet top dollar. You need to have floors that look like they're relatively newer, maybe stainless steel appliances. I look at it from this point. If I'm going in with a buyer, what can I use in your house to cut down the value? So that's the mindset I'm going in with. So if your floors are not newer, you don't have quartz countertops, your kitchen isn't more newly renovated or has that sort of feel, bathrooms, of course, need to be renovated and or look a little bit upgraded. Like those are the things that are going to get you top dollar. If somebody walks into the home and says, okay, yeah, this house has been upgraded or looks, of this age, clean, staged. For me, I feel like staging is very important. You cannot have a house that is, top tier with old furniture. It just brings a level down in my eyes. And so I feel like staging is really important as well.
In terms of buyers?
Price is low.
I say people who are waiting for interest rates to drop should look at a long-term picture here. Like right now, prices are affordable and you can get a deal. People are willing to negotiate. So why not just jump into the market now? It is difficult to save for a down payment, but there are alternative options. Most people don't realize that there's down payment assistance and that there's, rent to own sort of options. Yes, it is a little bit more expensive when you're doing something like rent to own, but it's still an option to get into the market. Down payment assistance isn't necessarily the situation that most people want, but it does help to get you in and get you, lower payments. There's options. So, yeah.
How much are you into politics? No. Or you are into and then you want to come out, eh? How much, I don't want to go deep into politics, but you are in the market. How much is the current political condition impacting this real estate market?
A lot of people are waiting until Pierre Poilievre comes into office to then decide whether or not they want to sell, because they feel like he's going to make such a big change and they just want to see how that's going to affect the market. And so that's as much as I know that there's, because when I speak to people, of course, every single day I'm talking to people, there's a good amount of people that are saying things like that to me, that they just want to see what's going to happen when he comes into power. They believe that he's going to change everything. So it's seeing what those changes will look like and how that'll affect the market. I love Pierre, and I'm not afraid to say that. He actually came to one of my listings. His team had called me and said that they wanted to do an announcement in front of one of my listings. And so he did, and I got to meet him, and it was
great.
You
met him?
Yeah.
How is he?
He's so great. Mm-hmm. It was actually a really cool experience because there was a reporter there that was asking him about, because he was talking about, firing the gatekeepers and all this fun stuff. And then one of the reporters said to him, well, doesn't your wife have investment properties? And started talking about his wife, and his wife comes like belting out of the car, and she's like, you don't ask him about my stuff, you ask me. And she starts going off. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Not just him.
Yeah, she's a hot tamale. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was refreshing.
So did you get a chance to talk to him?
I did, yeah. And I introduced myself. My husband's like a huge fan. So he got to talking, told him a joke, and then he left. So
You are into politics?
Not yet.
You also don't want to come on, eh?
Yeah.
She anyways came out, right? Yeah. I'm looking for that too.
Yeah. So now this is now such a competitive market, right? Personally, for you, how do you happen to build and maintain a strong relationship with your new clients?
I mean, I try to keep in touch with everybody. I try. My mom passed away last year, and so it has been a very interesting journey for me. It really affected me because I was an only child for so long, right? And me and my mom had a difficult relationship, but it really impacted me. And so, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I try to keep in touch with everybody. And I think that when somebody works with me, they see who I am in my heart, and they can see that I'm a genuine person. And so I feel like that's really what I try to do with everybody, and how I try to set myself apart is by being genuine and, just really trying to do what's best for everyone and letting them know that I'm always happy to help. That's my tagline.
Okay.
I'm always happy to help.
When you say, like when you meet new people, right, like new clients, there should be a strategy to understand what is really needed in terms of their taste to buy a new home, beyond what they are having a wish to buy a home, right? What certain strategies that you follow to understand what is really needed for a family as a client? No, I'm just asking if you see a client.
Yeah. And like what sort of line of questioning am I? Yeah, it's really me figuring out, who they are. Do they have children? What are their needs? What are the priorities? Because, there's some people that will call me and say, I only want to be in a school district that is over an 8 score on the Fraser Institute. It's very specific. Mm-hmm. So it's, pulling those details out. There's some people who, it doesn't really matter what the house looks like. They just need to be close to a certain intersection. I've met one person that said, I only want to live on Weston Road, like nowhere else. I just want to live along Weston Road. There's people have what they feel is important to them, and it's building a rapport with them that will allow them to feel comfortable enough to really, be transparent. And so a lot of it is building rapport, and then from there, asking the questions that I need to ask so I can figure out what's important. And sometimes it's just as simple as, well, what's the most important thing to you? But yeah.
So after hearing the inspiring speech from you, right, or after this podcast, even if I feel like if I want to be a real estate agent, like Ashok said, he want to do that too, right? Mm-hmm. I come from a totally different background, and real estate is new for me, maybe for Ashok too. For someone who is about to start from the scratch, and the challenges that may about to face, what type of advice you would like to give?
My advice is a little crazy, but I feel like it's good advice. And it was the reality that I had to face, which was, don't have a backup plan. Don't have another job. Because I'll tell you, when you have no other job and no other safety net, you are working a lot harder because you have a family to support. You have a mortgage. And mind you, I had all those things in place. I had a family, I had a mortgage, I had a sick grandfather. Like it was, and I had no safety net. So my grind was serious. So first time real estate agent, you need to go in this and jump into it. And it's, if you feel like that's not something you're comfortable with, then it's understanding that you need to be doing money making activities every single day. Every day. It's not, you're not just calling people, you're generating leads somehow, whatever that is. And it's putting together a plan and time blocked activities that you're doing, and you're doing every single day. And if you realize that this is not something that you can stick to, then it's just not the job for you, because it's not going to work. If you're not allowing your wheel to turn by, doing money making activities every single day, then your wheel's not going to turn.
Before we close today's session,
Yes.
at same type of question, but the previous question was more to understand for people like me who are not into the road, on the road yet,
Yeah.
in the real estate, people who are already in the traffic, trying to achieve something,
Yeah.
like you. What would you like to say for those, those people who are really focused in real estate? What type of tip you want to share for them?
I would say that it's real estate. I feel like being successful in real estate is not about transactions. It's about relationship. And it's about being genuine and having integrity and being honest. And yeah, if you go out there and you treat people, every single client like they're your family or your mother, and you genuinely have their best interest at heart, and you show them that, that's what gets the referrals. Like if you are that person.
It's really great advice for people who are listening to this too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just treating everybody like family.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll close that down. I would like to acknowledge that this is written by my wife.
Okay.
Right, so, welcome note and
Closing statement.
Yeah,
Okay.
And it's, I will in honor of her, right? I'll just go reading through it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us today, Sindee. So until next time, keep striving, keep learning, and keep building your path for success. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Sindee.
Thank you,
No
Sindee.
problem.